Alright everyone, well the insanity in Raid Shadow Legends continues because we have another crazy day of news and announcements and just stuff to get into. It really has been an absolutely explosive week with just so much going on and so many different aspects of the game, but let's jump right to it. So a little bit of an overview, we've got some more information and a full overview of everything 1.14 because now that the update is actually fully live, you can get into all the features and there have been some new discoveries made since the actual patch went out. We also have a new fusion that is going to be coming out later, which features a new Lizardman legendary with an absolute crazy skill. His last skill is insane. Prepare yourself for it because we haven't seen a skill on a champion quite like it. We've also got more free stuff coming, a quote from the Diamond, another quarantine gift. Does that mean 2,000 more free energy? Could it be something else? And just some general updates and reminders. I have an update about 1.15, a comment that I ended up making from the video yesterday. It turns out that 1.15 could actually include new content and is not just going to be a quality of life featured patch like 1.14 was. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's break it down a little bit better and let's go over 1.14 stuff first, because now that the patch is actually fully live, all the features are available. The patch notes are in game. They are also on the forums if you want to take a look at them there. But if we go to news and we go to new update, you can see now it's pretty similar to the actual document that I shared with you guys several times now, but there are a couple of things to take note of. And one of the more controversial things that I have noticed already is Relentless. So if you take a look here, about a third of the way through the patch notes, Relentless artifacts set rebalance. Relentless artifacts no longer grant multiple extra turns at the same time if the wearer also got an extra skill or extra turn through other means, like through their own skills or the skills of their allies. So very interesting. I don't really know how to feel about this. I'm a little bit surprised. You know, Relentless is considered already one of the most difficult gear sets in order to acquire because the way to get it is going to be primarily through ranking highly in tournaments, which is really difficult to do for a lot of people. And then of course when you actually get the gear, then you have to get lucky that it rolls the right stats because it's a gamble. You don't know what subsets it's going to have. You don't know what main stats a lot of it's going to have. So it's really difficult to actually really gear out champions with a good set of Relentless gear based off of how difficult it is to get. So to see this nerf or this change, you know, however you want to view it, it's very interesting. So let me know what you guys think about this. I know there's a lot of discussions about it kind of floating around the internet in Raid Shadow Legends discussion groups. Now the other thing to mention is especially very important note to a lot of you guys who have the champions that ended up getting rebalanced. I mentioned this yesterday, but another really important note today, especially now that there's more confirmation about this, but definitely go through and do a little bit of testing with these champions if you have them yourselves, because it turns out that some of the changes function a little bit differently than people originally anticipated just after reading what it did. So you know, I heard like Duchess Lolitu is actually a little bit different. Maybe she didn't get nerfed quite as badly as people thought she did. These changes function a little bit differently. So, you know, just a little reminder, go through if you have these champions. Unfortunately for me, I don't even know if I have any of these legendaries, but I can't do most of this myself. But a reminder to those of you guys who do have these champions, probably going to be worth the time to do so. Now, the last thing that I want to mention about these notes is actually in this section here, game experience enhancements right here. I noticed this. Champions with AoE skills that deal damage will now use those skills against the Ice Golem and his minions on auto. So this is really interesting. You know, I guess you could consider it a buff. Some people might think of it as a nerf, but it's just going to slightly change the way that you play through Ice Golem on auto. So especially when we get like an Ice Golem tournament coming up, might be worth going through with the team that you actually use to see how this has had an influence on it. Maybe you're going to be running through it quicker, maybe you're going to be running through it slower, but it'll definitely have some sort of impact. So those are the big things that I took note of. I'm sure there's other stuff that I'm missing out on, but getting into the actual main features, because there's something really cool that I didn't quite know would actually come out with the update when it comes to the artifact sorting, but it turns out that it did, and I am super happy about this because it is perfect for my champion vault, and the fact that a lot of the champions in my champion vault actually have gear on them that I felt like it was just going to be lost forever, because we know that we have this new artifact filtering system, which is awesome, by the way. Definitely test it out, do some experimentation with it. However, you can actually also search for gear that is equipped on your champions already, and even champions that are in your vault. So you can see here, this is just my regular artifact storage with my 699 out of 700 artifacts. When I go to that menu though, if I were to, let's see here, so let's just go to filter and let's go to equipped. You guys will see now it shows all the artifacts that I have on all of my champions that are already equipped, including champions in the vault. So that 699 number went up to 1358. So you can see that I've got quite a few artifacts on champions that are probably lost somewhere in the void that without this feature would be very, very difficult to find. So I know I'm going to spend many days just going through and possibly re-gearing a lot of champions. This is why I said, you know, if you wanted to stock up a little bit of silver, just because it's going to be really easy to get carried away with this awesome quality of life feature. So really happy to see that includes gear that is equipped on champions. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is the 100 new slots. I was hoping that it would be free. Unfortunately, it isn't. Now, I went through and I purchased them already, but what I did is I actually took note of how much it would cost in order to buy these new 100 champion slots. So if you guys are interested, you know, feel free to pause the video, come back to this point later on after you've watched everything else, take a screenshot, do what you have to do, but you can see here what the silver and or the gem costs. If you could pick your choice between silver or gems to unlock those 100 slots and what it actually costs. So that is right there. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the stuff. 1.14, I've talked about it a lot already, so I want to move on to the actual fusion that we are going to be getting coming out tonight, tomorrow, depending on your time zone, because there is some very interesting stuff to go over. So this is coming from the Diamond on Discord, who has been awesome, by the way. Huge shout out to the Diamond for actually being one of the very few people from Plarium that is super easy to communicate with. So hello all, we're going to launch a new fusion tomorrow. It will be a new legendary champion from the Lizardmen faction, Skull Lord var-gall. It's a defense type champion with the force affinity, and also all the players will receive another nice quarantine gift. 2,000 energy, that would be absolutely awesome. I don't know if they're going to give us 2,000 energy specifically, but really interested to see what this is going to turn out to be. You can share this information with your subscribers. So another, I guess, update to this announcement, which is very, very important. The Diamond ended up posting this a little bit later on. Super nice to take note of is there should be old champions, no new ones involved. So there's no new champions that are going to be coming out. So all the champions required for the fusion, it looks like they are going to be old champions, which is good. So again, those of you guys who have been saving champions, a lot of fusions that we had in the past, it was very upsetting that they either kept reusing the same champions over and over, or you know, they had new champions come out at the same time as a fusion, and the majority of champions for that fusion used new champions. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see exactly what champions we see for this fusion when we get more details later tonight or tomorrow. Now, in terms of the actual fusion itself, well, let's take a look at his skills and abilities, and I warn you guys, get prepared for this because his last skill is absolutely bonkers. It is crazy. We have not seen a skill like it, and already I can see that there's going to be some very interesting implications for how this skill is going to work in certain aspects of the game. So if we go to Legendary, we go right here, Skull Lord var-gall. So he is a defense-based champion. Take a look at his first skill here. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit fills the champion's turn meter by 5%. Has a 30% chance to repeat this skill. Places a 100% heal reduction debuff on the target for 2 turns if the skill is repeated. Okay? Alright, seems pretty decent for an auto attack. Alright, second ability, places a 25% strengthen buff on this champion for 2 turns. Has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff on a target for 1 turn. And you can see you can lower the cooldown on that and increase that buff debuff chance to 100% just through the actual skill books. This one just gives you damage on the skill without a cooldown. His third skill, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance, which you can boost up to 100, of placing a 50% decrease attack, which is the strong version, debuff for 2 turns, and you can lower that down to a 4-turn cooldown. This is a great skill right here. And then we have his 2 passives. So his first passive, when attacked, decreases the attacker's max HP by 5%, cannot decrease a single enemy's max HP by more than 50%, occurs once per enemy attack, does not work against bosses, has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on targets whose max HP has been decreased by 20% or more. Okay, interesting. Could definitely see some implications for that right there. However, this is not the passive that I was referring to that is absolutely crazy. It's actually the second one right here, his very bottom skill, and that is Revives Skull Swarm with 50% HP and 50% turn meter at the start of each turn. What? That's right. I'll read it again. Revives Skull Swarm with 50% HP and 50% turn meter at the start of each turn with a 1-turn cooldown. And of course, the note there, if there are multiple Skull Swarms on the team, only one of them will be revived. So, of course, you're going to either need a Skull Swarm. The other thing that I was wondering, does this have any kind of impact if you're in the arena and your opponent has a Skull Swarm? I don't really know about that, but the interesting thing about this is that it will revive continuously at the start of each turn with a 1-turn cooldown, starting with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. Now, I could see how that could turn into something incredibly annoying, or you could even find ways where this could be really useful in certain aspects of the game, like the clan boss. Again, it's too early to tell. We don't actually have the fusion champion yet. We haven't really done any testing with this. We're only reading what the skill does based off of the description, so we'll kind of have to figure out those crazy implications a little bit later on. But at a first glance, this is a very, very unique skill, and I'm really interested to find out more. So hopefully the fusion isn't too crazy. The fact that it requires no new champions is a good start, but I really don't know. With a skill like this, I don't think it's going to be the absolute easiest fusion, but we'll just have to wait and find out. So that is pretty crazy. Alrighty, so with that all being said, there are a couple of little updates, reminders, and things that I want to mention towards the end of the video. Something in reference to what I ended up saying yesterday as well. But this is the last day of the battle pass. As you can see here, 20 hours, 1 minute. Now, a lot of this stuff, it will get sent to your mailbox if you don't collect it, or if you don't collect it. But just important to keep note of, if you're working on anything, you know, last day, less than 24 hours left, or if you are like me and you've just got so many artifacts, this new update came out. I'm going to spend a lot of time going through artifacts, but my mailbox is also getting close to full. You know, if I didn't do anything right now, logged off for the next 20 hours, it could be a disaster because a lot of stuff in my mailbox might get deleted in order to make room. So, you know, just a friendly reminder, if you guys are still doing some organizational stuff related to the Battle Pass, this is your last day. And the very last thing that I wanted to end off the video with is another update from the Diamond about 1.15. I actually did ask him because yesterday he mentioned that 1.15 is going to be similar to 1.14 and 1.13.5, and I was wondering if that meant that it's going to be mostly focused on quality of life stuff, or if he's just referencing the actual general timeline and that they are focusing on trying to release content approximately 1 month apart. And it turns out here that it is the time frame that he was referencing. So we are looking like, it's looking like good shape that 1.15 is actually going to include some new content, and it's again looking like it's going to be about a month or so away at the same time that Season 2 of the Battle Pass is going to launch. So probably a little bit after this whole crazy fusion that we are getting gets wrapped up, then we'll start to see more info about 1.15 and then the actual release. But lots of stuff today, lots of good news, another crazy day in the absolute madness of a week that it's been in Raid Shadow Legends, and I think that is going to be a wrap-up for the video. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you guys are interested in more info, videos, and fun stuff like this, definitely keep an eye on the channel. If you want to help out, tossing a quick like means a whole bunch, so thank you to all of you guys to do that. And definitely subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos like this in the future. Some videos should be popping up right now as well, so feel free to check them out. And that's going to be it for today. Have a great day, everyone. Take care, and until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.